Good evening, I'm Dhruv Tekekar in Hong Kong and welcome to View TV News. Coming up on tonight's show. The former Justice Secretary stands by the extradition bill proposal and says it's been unfairly demonized. Beijing has allegedly blocked mainland users from accessing British newspaper The Guardian. And a tariff war averted between Washington and Mexico as both countries agree to tighten borders and stem the flow of migrants. Well, we begin tonight with the controversial extradition bill proposal. Former Justice Secretary Elsie Leung said today that the proposal had been politicized and demonized. She called on Hong Kongers to realize the necessity of this amendment. However, as Joyce Wu reports, not everyone is agreeing with her, and they are getting ready to make their voices heard tomorrow.
Momentum is building up for tomorrow's protest against the controversial extradition bill amendment. Today, the rally organizer petitioned outside the central government offices at Tamar, calling on Hong Kongers to join. The spokesman for the Civil Human Rights Front said the group will ensure that the protest will be held peacefully. He also insisted that yesterday's 2 petrol bomb attacks are not related to their rally.
There's no evidence that the 2 incidents are linked to our rally, so the police hasn't got in touch with us. But as the event organizer, we know our responsibility is to ensure the protest is going to be lawful and takes place in a safe area.
The rally is in response to the government's decision to push the bill through the Legislative Council and skip the bill's committee's vetting process. That came after the committee failed to scrutinize the legislation because the pan-democratic and pro-establishment lawmakers couldn't agree on who should chair the debate. The proposal will resume its second reading at a full council meeting on Wednesday. Despite the strong opposition, former Justice Minister Elsie Leung defended the bill on a radio program today. She pointed out that the bill has gone already through discussions, clarifications and revisions, and it will be thoroughly discussed in LegCo. Leung added the bill, which is an otherwise uncomplicated matter, has simply been politicized and demonized. In response to worries over the mainland's legal system, the former government official said Beijing has already signed extradition treaties with 55 countries. Even countries like the US and Canada that don't have treaties with Beijing have also handed suspects over to the mainland. Leung also revealed that Beijing and Taiwan also transfer suspects to each other, even though they both don't recognize each other's government. In processing extradition cases, Leung said she is fully confident that Hong Kong courts will remain independent. At the same time, she called on Hong Kongers to recognize the need for this amendment in plugging a loophole in the current legislation. Joyce Wu, View TV News.
Well, talking about the petrol bomb attacks, police brought one of the suspects to the Quarry Bay Vehicle Impoundment Center for questioning this morning. The suspect was among the 4 people arrested last night in connection with the attacks. It's believed that he was being questioned about a car used in the attacks. Meanwhile, police stepped up security at the Wan Chai Police Headquarters today. That was where the first petrol bomb was lobbed at a patrol van yesterday morning. The second was hurled at Happy Valley Police Station in the afternoon. Well, to the latest on the African swine fever scare, Secretary for Food and Health Sophia Chan says she's happy with the new measure introduced to clear out Sheng Shui slaughterhouse on a daily basis in order to prevent an outbreak of the virus. Chan said over the last 2 days, around 1,000 pigs were imported from the mainland each day. This is 25% of the normal amount, so the slaughterhouse was able to clear its stock. Chan said they're now looking into whether the supply can be increased. The Sheng Shui abattoir was closed for the second time in a month last week after authorities detected the swine fever virus in another mainland imported pig. Moving across the border now, Beijing has apparently blocked access to the website of British newspaper The Guardian. That's according to the newspaper, which claims its webpage had been going offline for Chinese users earlier this week. The Guardian had reported on Hong Kong's candlelight vigil commemorating the 30th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdown, while publishing op-eds from mainland dissidents. According to the newspaper, other news outlets like the Washington Post, NBC, and the Huffington Post have also been reportedly caught up in the censorship snare. Well, coming up next, the latest from the world of business. Well, a sigh of relief for markets worldwide as Washington calls off tariff threats on Mexico. This comes after both countries reach a signed agreement to stem the flow of migrants to the U.S. southern border. U.S. President Donald Trump tweeted that the 5% import tariffs the U.S. had scheduled to implement on Monday have been suspended indefinitely. Mexico has agreed to deploy more soldiers to curb the migrant flow crossing into the U.S. It also vowed to immediately expand a program that sends migrants seeking asylum in the United States to Mexico while they await adjudication of their cases.
I think it's a fair balance because they have more drastic measures and proposals at the start, and we reach some middle point.
Well, it's the final day of events at the annual St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, where a host of leaders have gathered this year. Among them is President Xi Jinping, who landed in Moscow earlier this week. Speaking at the Economic Forum, Xi addressed tensions between the U.S. and China, saying trade relations are still strong. That's despite U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariff threats against the mainland, including slapping another $300 billion in tariffs on Chinese goods. Russian President Vladimir Putin, who showed solidarity with China, slammed the U.S. for its economic actions so far, but Xi struck a more conciliatory tone.
It's hard to imagine a complete break of the United States from China or of China from the United States. We are not interested in this, and our American partners are not interested in this. President Trump is my friend, and I am convinced he is also not interested in this.
While at the same forum, President Xi Jinping also said China is ready to share its newest technology, including 5G, with the rest of the world. But with Huawei on the trade blacklist of companies and countries, the cost of 5G networks in Europe could soar. And this could also delay the rollout of this technology by more than a year. Pascal Davies reports.
Europeans may be looking forward to the arrival of 5G,